I would like to ask something that I asked them many times. Do you think it is better to teach 50% than not to teach anything at all? Or if we start teaching, we have to teach until the end, you know?
Actually, I have mentioned that in the text, that in Myanmar, you know, when we have a question, it's best to look for somebody who has the answer. Look for somebody who already has applied the answer. Rather than thinking, what could be like this, what could be like that, we need to reduce our conceit and search somebody who has already applied the answer, who had that problem already and who found that answer. And we can find that in those who teach and those who learn. And in Buddhist countries such as Burma, such as Myanmar, we need to learn how they teach and how they express their faith toward all the scriptures, teaching only a few of them. So in Myanmar, you will learn certain basics such as Vinaya, Pali grammar, Abhidhamma, and you don't learn them to go out and know everything. No, at all. Actually, the suttas and the other teachings, the novices, they learn from their teacher in the evening, you know, when they are just calmly, peacefully discussing whatever. It's not included in their examination. Of course, sometimes suttas are included, but many of the things they know, like about Dhammapada, Jataka, and these things, they learn through their contact from their friend, good friend, the teacher, or among themselves, or as they read books. What they learn, what they must learn and perfectly know are the grammar, the rules, and the essence of Dhamma.
Well, the question was actually...
can you please give the lady a chance to ask the question? Please.
Thank you very much, Venerable. My question is very practical in a way. Because I teach Buddhism at King's College London, and what we do is we also do the two parts that you mentioned. So learning through the scripture and then also Chainamaya as well. And also what I've been doing very recently is I've been teaching the students to do meditation as well. Some students take on meditation, others don't. But in a Western context, in the UK and US, for example, how can I, as a teacher, encourage the students to take up meditation and take on that kind of message and personal benefits that they might get? So I'm wondering whether you have any tips that you might want to share with me. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think the best text would be Rattavinita Sutta, which actually explains the progressive training. And then you need to teach according to your experience, because you are the example for them. You are the one they see. So that in the text, they don't see anybody. So that's not so inspiring. Inspiring is somebody that we can see, that we can ask our question. The somebody who will come and say, you are wrong. This is better. Do this better. We need somebody to tell us, you know, when we are wrong, because sometimes we don't know that we are wrong. So you are the example for those students. And the sutta I would recommend is Rattavinita Sutta from Majjhima Nikaya.
Yes, thank you. I do teach Kalaniyamitta Sutta and also the Metta Bhavana and so on.
No, Rattavinita Sutta. Rattavinita Sutta.
Okay, yes, but the point that I'm also making is, in a Western context, it's quite challenging to tell the student that you are wrong or you're right. So I'm also kind of trying to understand how can I diplomatically persuade them, if at all, or whether that would be... Yeah.
Through the report of your own practice. So if you come and you say, you know, I practice in the morning 1 hour, in the evening 1 hour, and this is what I experienced, this is what it helped me for, then at that point they know that they're not the only people who are going to do that, you know? Okay. So then they're inspired, and then they can ask their questions if they have any questions, and they will ask so many. So,
thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I request Venerable Bebjin to present your views. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for staying within the time. Yeah. But the questions end up taking a lot of time.
Skip some paragraphs.
Sure. We are almost at the time. Just 5 minutes. Okay. We'll adjust it later on. Now we go here. Sure, almost there. Almost there, just 5 minutes. And I will catch it up.
Good morning. Thank you given to me the chance presentation this here. My issue is, my title is Tree and Leaf, the Forms of Canon and their Cultural Evolution in Buddhist World. The same title, the author, is a very famous figure, J.R.R. Tolkien. It's a Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, but not follow him. Trees have a special meaning and for Buddhist, Ashoka tree, Jambu tree, Bodhi tree, Sala tree, etc. Those trees are, of course, a real life background of Buddha's life, but those trees have become symbols of metaphor now. The Ashoka tree is the birthplace of the Buddha. The Jambu tree is the site of the Buddha's first meditation. The Bodhi tree is a tree of enlightenment, and the Sala tree nirvana as well we all know. While these are significant to Buddha's life, there is something far more important than these symbols. There is Tipitaka, a Buddhist canon which is written on the leaf or carved on the wood of trees. It's true that the weight should be put on Buddha himself, but record of the canon is essential. In fact, the canon is the first and the Buddha is the second. The tree is a leaf in the history of recording canon are more meaningful than Buddha. The meaning of canon is actually sutra, but the usage often includes discipline Vinaya and the treatise Abhidhamma or Abhidharma. So typically when we say canon in English, we understand that it's Tipitaka, and this word is most preferred by us. In Northeast Asia, however, before 10th to 13th century CE, they used the word the I Ching Jing, the meaning is the Sarva Sutra, whole Buddhist text, or Chung-Ching, the Sangiti or Sutra collection of Buddhist text, and Sanchang, the meaning is Tipitaka. Sanchang has continued and now is a universal word, but at the present they generally prefer using the word Dajang-Jing, the meaning is Great Huge Pitaka Sutra in Northeast Asia. The meaning is the Sutra of Huge Tripitaka. The meaning of Pitaka Sutra is a little strange, but the sutra sometimes is thought of as every Buddhist text to Northeast Asia people. So to them, there is a difference between Sutra Pitaka and Pitaka Sutra. So they can use the terms Agama Sutra and Nikaya Sutra. Sometimes canon were inscribed on the stone, sometimes inscribed on the golden plate, sometimes on the piece of tree, sometimes a tree, especially birch bark, were printed by typeset from early period. The Hawaiian Dhammasami Sutra, 1956 on Earth is from the underground in mountain of stone cannon near Beijing are cannon carved on the stone. That they number around 50,000 and date from early 7th century Sui dynasty to produced continuously over a period of 480 years. The Chinese reburied the tablets to prevent corrosion by the sun after copy, ruining the whole collection. The Fangshan Stone Sutra. Thanks to 14th century Goryeo dynasty in Korea, in Jeolla province, last and ancient stupa, Sharira chesket was unearthed from the stupa during repairs to the stupa in 1965. It's a Korean-style stupa. Vajrachedika Sutra was discovered inside of chesket, and it is made of gold panel that was pressed by tool from the back. The stupa is from the Goryeo dynasty, but the age of this sutra is disputed as is its origin, Silla dynasty or Baekje dynasty. However, it definitely comes from before 10th century. The gold panel stupa sutra. To make a palm leaf manuscript, a new shoot of large palm leaf is split into thin strips and boiled with some other materials like leaves of mango and papaya, etc. It is dried, screwed and cut to the same size. Then we inscribe with a metal stylus, spread ink there and polish up the leaves with flour. The ink is left in the letter groups. Very familiar for you. So ornate covers were developed for the palm leaves manuscript. These were wooden cases or stick with the decoration. They were also for protecting the manuscript. If lay people made donations, the covers would be more nicely adorned. Royal donations meant that they could be adorned in gold color. This form of sheet leaves and silver become Tibetan manuscript type and Chinese manuscript type 2. Like this, Tibetan style in the paper. It's the Chinese style. In the case of a modern manuscript, from 18th century onward, there are folder type also. These are written on the paper, which is easy to read and easy for safekeeping. The manuscript made in this way turned common to most other traditions. The similar type in the Siam society in Bangkok is a modern palm leaf, but on the paper. In Northeast Asia, from 11th century, Song dynasty began the creation of a wooden block Tipitaka. The process is much bigger, so manufacture was never attempted at the individual level, only on the national policy scale. At the same time, the creation of a wooden block is a measure of the strength of the nation because their creation requires a huge number of trees. Sewing technology, high quality human resources who those hand writers and harbors and grabbers, the lacquers and the paper, the manufacturers, etc. The process took a long time, 16 years in Korea's case. At first, the lumber trees were put in the mud flat or sea water for about a year, and so the lengthways of the wood grain, a maximum of 6 blocks, could be made from a tree. Next, paper manuscripts were written and these were pasted to the board upside down and by tracing carved into the wood. This was done on both sides. Finally, the 258 blocks were pressed on the over 160,000 paper pages. At the present, the only perfect wooden block Tipitaka in existence is the Korean edition Tipitaka Koreana 고려 대장경 in Hainsa Temple, Gyeongsang Province. Even though about the 10 were created in China, there is only the edition left. Like this, the wooden block.
우리는 경판을 직접 제작해 보기로 했다.
Sorry, only Korean.
이루어진 반야신경 8만 대장경 4번을 이용했다. 먼저 종이를 거꾸로 붙이고 글씨가 잘 보이도록 기름을 버린다. 판에 붙여 깎아내는 종이 판본은 경판이 만들어지는 바탕이 된다 하여 판화본이라 한다. 기름이 마르면 판화본과 함께 깎기 시작하는데 한자 한자 보통의 정성으로는 가능한 일이 아니다. 이 한 장 경판 제작에 무려 열흘 이상이 걸렸다.
But we don't have time, so past. So this is a Heart Sutra translated by Shan, the very famous the sutra in the Mahayana tradition. After printing, they could choose two types of binding. The first one is a scroll type made by connecting papers. This is an effective way of keeping them for a long time. However, these are not easy to read and handle and are relatively heavy because there is a stick in the center. The other one is a folder type. This type can be easy to read and portable. Of course, there is a drawback in that they tend to break apart at the crease. However, this type is usually prepared. This way is similar to folding type of manuscript used in Southeast Asia, even though as they follow the different making process. Deep manuscript and the wooden blocks from the tree were totally different cultural developments in terms of writing and the press. The leaf is for reading, while the wooden block is purity for press printing as a kind of early press machine developed along with the paper, which was not present in the Southeast Asia. The evolution from manuscript to printing system took place very early to the development of paper in China in the 2nd century. Paper was made by traditional method using different technologies in Korea, China, and Japan, which continue to the present. In the three countries of Northeast Asia, Korea, China, Japan, not only were canon scribed and the manuscript were made on paper, but also papers were already being dyed in different colors. The black color and golden ink, dark blue color and golden ink, oak color and silver ink manuscript. There was also printing system invented in Southeast Asia. The Ayeyarwady script was invented by King Mongkut, famous for his reform of Thai Buddhism. The inspiration for the king's typeset came from missionaries of the West. He learned English from them and observed their technologies and decided that he needed a modern printing system. It can be said he was never afraid of new things. This idea is from the Venerable Professor Anil Sakya. The Ayeyarwady script. Most lay people, those who are not scholars, just touch it and turn instead of read to them. Canon is the stuff of worship, as are monks. As you know, like the handle is turned inside at the small sutra. In Tibet, sutra cases are worshipped, but in Korea, China, and Japan, they are just cases for shape-keeping of sutra as pieces of paper. Sometimes cases were, but this seems to be for the next generation. It's a sutra case. A similar manuscript were discovered inside the jar or water pots, which had been buried by northwest India. The Buddhist manuscript were found inside of this pot, the Gandhara, at the 1920. This from Richard Salomon. In Korea, there is another tradition that is a yunjangde, a large turning case with the canon inside. This similar to the Tibet style. The Japanese invented a very nice reading system in which paper is turned over so fast using folder type text. Touching and worshipping canon is important to them as a reading text.
本当にこれ大半にはこれ600巻冊あるんですよ。でそれをね全部読むと時間がかかりすぎるわけです。ですからして転読と言いまして、ね、こうしてずっとこう開きながら読んだことにしちゃうんですよ。
Yes, just the reading system, very nice.
そうしながら
Yeah. Of course, the manuscripts are handled with care by scholars because of their significance. Sometimes, however, a lot of manuscripts kept in older temples in Southeast Asia are in a poor state on preservation. On the left, the situation is comparatively not bad, but the collection on the right is a poor condition. Very sad. Like this. Fortunately, restoration, the methods have been improved by technology. We have seen the rebirth of a lot of damaged manuscripts through new technology. In the case of Lily in Nepal, these aren't air conditioners in any room. There are, however, big air conditioners running in the archive hall where there is book, the manuscript only, not people. Scholars work in the other rooms without air conditioning. The archive room is very cool. As we know, with Nepal, especially the Lumbini area, the electricity goes out 3 or 5 times a day. Very nice library. So with the air conditioner, very good condition. In Korea, Haeinsa Temple and Gyeongsang Province is a wooden panel. The wood is very kind of the trees. The sanpannamu, jajangnamu, dolbenamu. It's very kind of yeah. Like this, made the wooden panel, like this. The windows of sutra buildings are made of different sizes. The upper windows are large and the low windows are small. But on the other side, they are the opposite way, so we can control the wind coming in the out of the building. The building design not only controls wind but also can balance moisture. The floor of the building is consisted of the charcoal, the sand, limes, clays and the salt in layers. This material keep the building, picks the humidity during dry weather over rain. The salt and charcoal and sand and clay lime. And the wind, the system. Keeping the wooden block in this kind of environment is good for the preservation of canon, but there is more we can do. Sometimes they should be exposed to sun too. So once a year, an event is held where lay people put the wood blocks on their head. Of course, this is done as a blessing ritual, but the actual reason is to expose the wooden block to the sun. So the event originated as the transport of the blocks from one place to another. Most Korean temples are deep in the mountain. 800 years ago, only human labor could be used to move wood block to the temples, a huge total weight with 8,000 pieces. Today, it is most important that we preserve as all the manuscripts are more effort is needed, especially for the fragile palm leaf type. Unfortunately, we don't have a manuscript from before 15th century, so existing manuscripts are our primary sources of Pali. The form of canon ascribed on leaf are the oldest record of Buddhist history. The majority of important manuscripts are housed in old temples. The study, cataloging, editing, translating, and preservation of this manuscript should be our concern. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Venerable Beobjin, for such an informative presentation on how the Tripitakas were kind of preserved in all the different parts of the world, particularly in the Buddhist countries. So now we are ready to take a few questions. If you have, as I told you earlier, please be precise and short when you ask question. Okay? So we take 2 questions in the beginning. If we have more time, we will try to take more. If you have questions, please come forward. If you have questions. So it seems like I take this as no question. And if there is no question, that means you understand everything and you have no doubts. That's very good. So now I would like to invite the next presenter, Most Venerable Dr. Park Chong-dok, professor from Dongguk University, Korea, for his presentation.
First of all, I am really thankful to Venerable Dhammasami.
Thank you.
I met him in
much.
Oxford, England. We studied together under the same supervisor. And Venerable Dhammasami allowed me to stay at Oxford Buddha Vihara in my last year in Oxford. And in his Vihara, I really had my beautiful memory and comfortable stay. So I really indebted him a lot. And 2 days ago in Yangon, I met Venerable Panya Wangsa. It was a kind of a reunion after 12 years since I left Oxford in 2005. So this, this conference and this meeting is very special to me. Thank you. Today I'm going to introduce you the general view of a Korean monastic training system. So, monastic training system of the Jogye order of Korean Buddhism. History of Korean Buddhism.
On time, that's it.
안 넘어가? 왜 안 넘어가지? Buddhism was adopted as the official state religion in the Goguryeo, 신라, and Baekje kingdom during the Three Kingdoms period between 57 BCE and 668 CE, and the unified 신라 kingdom succeeded in applying Buddhism as the psychological force for the unification of the peninsula. From its inception on the peninsula, Buddhism was a principal force behind social and technological change in Korea. Along with Buddhism, Buddhist missionaries introduced to Korea a wide cross-section of Sinitic culture and thought, including the Chinese writing system, calendrics, and architecture. Buddhist spiritual technologies were also considered to offer powers far superior to those of the indigenous religion of shamanism. For all these reasons, Buddhism became an integral part of the religio-political nexus of Korea during the unified 신라 and Goryeo dynasty. Buddhism therefore provided the foundation for Korean national ideology for over a millennium. During those two periods, Buddhism functioned as a vital state religion. Buddhism received material and political support from the royal court, and in exchange interceded with the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas on behalf of the nation's welfare. The Buddhist presence was ubiquitous throughout the country, exerting its hold over the nation with an extensive network of both mountain monasteries and city temples. During the Goryeo dynasty, for example, the head monasteries of both of the two major branches of the tradition, Gyo or doctrinal study, and the Son or Zen meditation training, were based in the capital of Gaesong, and thousands of monks pursued their vocations in urban enclaves. The financial power of the monasteries was so immense that it severely became the huge burden on the Goryeo economy, contributing to the demise of the kingdom and the rise of the Joseon dynasty. The foundation of the Joseon dynasty, with its pronounced Neo-Confucian sympathies, brought an end to Buddhism's hegemony in Korean religion. Buddhism's close affiliation with the vanquished Goryeo rulers led to centuries of persecution during this Confucian dynasty. The vast power that Buddhists had wielded during the